Zach, do you think that if XRP was to drop below $1, let's say if it were to drop below $1, that may potentially produce, first of all, do you think below $1 is even a probability for XRP at the moment?
At the moment, it's giving the impression there'll be one final move to the
Yeah.
downside. And in a way, it's better to wait for that and not get in rather than, just try and have a go now and be 50% down.
It may produce so much more panic and fear in the crypto community, in the XRP community, that they may just capitulate. All right, guys, hello and welcome. Today we're going to talk about XRP. So the crypto, which is loved by a lot of people out there, has suffered severe decline. By the way, this was by no means a surprise. If you recall, back in February of 2025, about a year ago, I warned that XRP, when it rallied higher, and I'll put the chart so you guys can see it. When XRP was rallying, I warned about several important danger signs. And I'll put the clip for you guys so you can see it. The MACD on XRP on the weekly chart has now gone over, again, extreme levels that it hit in 2021 and 2018. In case you're wondering, well, so what? Well, it just so happened that those extreme MACD momentum readings coincided with tops in the price of XRP, as we can see there. It is a warning sign. It could be a warning of a potential pullback in the price as well. There were several warning signs about MACD overbought conditions. In fact, I'll put them on the chart. So let's have a look at those particular charts one more time. As we can see here, last year, I warned when XRP, there it is, as a matter of fact, in February of last year, I warned that we'd seen extreme MACD overbought conditions. And indeed, we also had acceleration extremes in February of last year. So acceleration extreme and MACD overbought conditions. And in the past, whenever those had occurred, again, acceleration extremes, for example, with overbought MACD back in 2021, I think it was, then it followed the top and then a major decline, a major crash. Same thing happened, by the way, in the year 2017, 2018. Acceleration extreme, when market moves too far, too fast, goes parabolic with MACD overbought conditions. And yeah, we had the top followed by decline. I warned about this February of last year. And by the way, what was the response I got? People were saying, Alessio doesn't know what he's talking about. He's against XRP. He doesn't believe in XRP and all that stuff. That's why I warned about it. And it turns out, as we can see here, I was absolutely correct. XRP, again, not to blow my own horn too much here, but XRP did eventually decline. And after making what appears to be an ABC decline, again, we had a B wave, a bull trap right there. That B wave was a bull trap. Then we had a C wave decline. And again, let me just make sure I mention this. I'm not saying that the C wave of this ABC correction, potential ABC correction, has bottomed. So by no means am I saying we've reached a bottom here just because I put this ABC pattern there. There may still be potentially more downside risk. Again, XRP may still see a further decline. And I'm going to ask Zach his opinion about this. But for me, I'm seeing this overall pattern from the highs of last year really is part of a larger degree ABC corrective pattern, a larger degree correction, okay? With the C wave almost reaching a green line, which is a 200 simple moving average there on the weekly chart, which, as we know, the 200 weekly is an important support level. So far, XRP has held it. But again, just because XRP has bounced off from that level or near that level, it doesn't mean we reached the bottom. For me, well, we'll discuss this in a few minutes, but XRP would have to break above resistance, confirmation with Bitcoin as well, before we can say that there's a bottom in place. But at the moment, there is no indication, there is no high probability indication of a bottom. So XRP could potentially see more downside risk despite any kind of a bounce in the short term. And I want to ask Zach now what his view is about this overall pattern. Zach, do you think that if XRP was to drop below $1, let's say if it were to drop below $1, that may potentially produce, perhaps, we'll have to see. First of all, do you think below $1 is even a probability for XRP at the moment?
Yeah, I think it is just because you've got we've got two things. One, the failure below the A wave low.
Yeah.
So say that's 150 or whatever it is. And then because the old July 23 low is potentially new support. So I think it's a bit like the other cryptos that even though if they're not, there's not going to be another new leg to the downside. At the moment, it's giving the impression there'll be one final move to the
Yeah.
downside. And in a way, it's better to wait for that and not get in rather than just try and have a go now and be 50% down, which is not a nice place to be.
Yeah, I think you make a good point there. And it would be psychologically speaking as well, if XRP was to make another leg lower, let's say close to $1 or below it, it may produce so much more panic and fear in the crypto community, in the XRP community, that they may just capitulate. We'll have to see, of course. Guys, make sure you go and follow Zach on X. He posts a lot of informative and interesting material on his X account. That's at Zach's Traders Cafe. I'll put the link for you guys in the description. What would have to happen for you to say that it has bottomed, given the current chart we have at the moment? For me, I'd put 1.77 there, $1.77 as a resistance. If I saw, if that is, XRP was to get above $1.77, then I would say perhaps we may have a bottom in place, provided Bitcoin confirms that, by the way. What would have to happen for you to say, you know what, XRP probably has bottomed?
Just an end weekly close above that A wave low there. So whether that's 150 or
Oh, I
whatever it
see.
is.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
it. That's it.
160,
Very
150.
nice. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
quite
So
simple.
a weekly close above that. I see what you
Yeah,
mean.
which is possible given the way that we've had quite a that just 1 day dip towards that moving average, and we're back up again, right? There was blink and you missed it, right? So that is at least on the face of it a positive. I don't know if it
Yeah.
touched the line or went below it or whatever it is, but
Yeah, I came very
uh,
close to it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So if it came very close to it and didn't touch it, I think that's a cork and water rebound, a good show of
Yeah.
strength. I mean, especially given that we already collapsed from the highs.
Yeah. I mean, there are probably some people going to say in the comment section of this video that XRP is doomed and it's probably going to go back to the 50 cents level, like the lows of 2024, near 38 cents or 40 cents. Personally, I think it's unlikely, but you never know. I think it's unlikely. But is that what's your view on that?
I'm probably just focused on the support. Ideally for everyone, support comes in towards the $1 area, and I think everyone would be happy with that. There's one.
$1 level.
It's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, $1 level. Yeah, I think that's probably the ideal scenario and worth waiting for. And unless you're very keen, you just wait for an end of a week close back above the that A
Uh-huh.
low. Then those are the two choices you have. If you're keen, you just wait for restoring the old support, and if you are more trying to be more opportunist, you just wait to see if you can get anywhere near a dollar. I think you'd feel relatively safe there,
Yeah.
and you might do well quite quickly.
Again, just a reminder, this video is by no means a recommendation to buy or sell XRP or any crypto. It's just purely for educational purposes. But again, it's interesting what Zach says here. Yeah, I think, Zach, I got a question here. I mean, assuming the ABC pattern completes, assuming the C wave bottoms out, let's say, not, it doesn't have to be now, but
Hmm.
let's say it makes another leg lower, or let's say it bottoms out in the next several weeks and months, maybe spring, or maybe later on. Do you think a big bounce or a rally is probable
I
on
think if you
XRP?
look back at the chart, you look back at the chart over recent years, it looks like a heart
Mm,
trace monitor. So you could never rule out a massive spike to the upside. That's what the chart is telling you, that it's
yeah.
periods of quietness and gloom and doom, and then all of a sudden there's a vertical move,
Mm.
which lasts for a few months, and then we're back down again. So it's a heart trace monitor type chart.
Yeah, it is very,
So
very volatile.
so
Yeah.
yeah, so that's why if you find a level you're comfortable with, or wait for a level that comfortable with, that's why
Mm.
it's something that if you're comfortable there and there's not too much the market's not doesn't go too much against you from that level, then I think this is a market that can would have good rewards. That's why it's got its legions of
Yeah.
fans.
Yeah, it does. But just to keep this point, I think XRP, again, as yet, there's no sign of a bottom, as mentioned before, despite the fact that we've reached some support level, despite oversold conditions. We have to remember there's always risk of potentially more declines, of a further drop. And you know what? Anything is possible. Anything can happen. So thanks very much indeed, Zach. I really appreciate it. Guys, do go ahead and check out Zach on X. Follow him there at Zach's Traders Cafe is his X handle. I'll put the link for you guys in the description. Thanks very much, Zach. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.